Might be a game 7. All right. Another 10 seconds here. All right, this is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. Came on yesterday morning, and I was kind of like in rare form yesterday, and got a little colorful there. I know Ms. Hicks watching, and I dropped a few profanity-laced bombs and some of the things I was saying, so I'll try to hold back on such occurrences, but I don't discount what I said, but maybe I could have said it a little bit better. One of the targets of my tirade was against Haliburton. I call Haliburton the classic front runner. You know, he jump up and down, and when things are going his way, he's playing to the crowd, he's doing his choke symbols, and he's finding his dad, and he's having a good old time. But then when things don't go his way, he's quiet as a church mouse. Which is it? Are you the rah-rah type? Or are you going to be somebody that's going to sit and take a back seat when things aren't going right? So in other words, you want to be visible when things are doing well, but you don't want to be seen when things aren't going right. You don't want to take responsibility. And one of the things that I used to back that up, if you go back to game 4, I think it was a 104 left in the game, or it was 204 left in that game. Lou Dort got the steal off Haliburton, and slow as Lou Dort is, Haliburton decided not to try to make a play on the ball before Dort got to the rim. His teammate got there, but Haliburton didn't do it. Well, if the game's on the line and you're supposed to be the man, a guy steals the ball from you at a critical point, you got to reverse course and try to make a play on it. He didn't do that. He stood there and watched the whole thing. And his teammate forced Dort to go to the line and earn whatever he got, but not Haliburton. And that to me was a clear sign of somebody that is a front runner. So again, when things are going great, he's the man. Look at me. But when it's not, you don't know he's there. And that's concerning. Now, it's come out that the injury that he has now is a calf strain, and the question is, will he play tonight? Well, it may be a question to you that have never had a calf strain, but not to the ones who have had a calf strain. And I'm telling you right now, Haliburton, he can't play. Calf strain and a hamstring, two different things. If you completely pull your hamstring, you're not playing. But if you tweak it, strain it, you can wrap it up in a sleeve, put some treatment on it, and you can get out there and play with that. But not with a calf string. It's like stepping on needles. I know because I've had them myself. I may not look like it now. Ever since I started doing the Uber and the lifts, I don't run as much as I used to, but I used to run 25, 30 miles a week. So when you get to a certain point, all that pounding, it adds up. And I running across the bridge one day, got over there and stepped down and pop. Felt like I stepped on a pine needle. I felt okay. because I can walk. So let me take a couple more steps and see if I'm okay. No, sir. You cannot run on a calf string, and that calf string is not going to let you run until it feels like letting you run. So if Haliburton, as much as he thinks he wants to play, shooting it up is not going to help him. None of that. Only thing that's going to help that is time and rest. So don't expect to see Haliburton out there on the floor tomorrow night. And he's going to be done. And to answer your question there, Justin Randy, I don't see how the Pacers are going to be able to overcome OKC in this clinching moment. Which leads me to the question, can the bench lead the Pacers to a victory? Well, let's go ahead and talk about that now. There's a difference as to why one guy is starting and the other is not. Take football, for instance. Quarterback, starting quarterback, and you got your backup quarterback. The most popular guy on the team is the backup quarterback. Everybody wants to boo and yell and hiss at the starting quarterback, and they say, put the backup in. I was a backup quarterback. I just stand on the sideline, I hear them. They say, put me in. I turn around and look, oh, you know what that is, talk about put me in. I was the backup quarterback. You don't have the same expectation as a backup quarterback as you do as a starter. You have to have yourself ready to play. So when you go in, you can go in and affect the game. And the other team, 9 times out of 10, didn't prepare for you very much. So you're going to be able to get away with some stuff because they hadn't seen a whole lot of you on film. Well, the same thing in basketball. You take a guy at point guard like Haliburton, he's going to have to be replaced by more likely T.J. McConnell. Now, the criticism that Carlisle got after the last game is, why didn't he go with T.J. McConnell more when it became apparent that Haliburton couldn't play? Well, that's a good question. Because McConnell was hot, maybe you should have went with him longer and rested Haliburton as much as he could. But Haliburton has had the knack this playoffs of keeping his team in the game or making some kind of heroic play. So why not this game? So he has to be out there. And Haliburton getting criticism, say, well, why don't you just go to the coach and tell him that you can't go? What player is going to go to his head coach and tell him to take him out of the game when everybody's dependent on him? He lose all kind of credibility, even if what he was telling the coach was true. He's got to go out there and fall on his sword, kind of like what he did when he fell on his face. But he can't go to the coach and say, man, I can't do it. Well, I'm glad you told me that, Haliburton. So have a nice little seat on the bench there, and we'll try to gut it out. But we'll come see you in July with trade papers. We'll send you somewhere else. We won't tell nobody what you told us, but we're going to send you somewhere else, man. Maybe you can go over there and find a little bit more hard or whatever you need to do. But that's essentially what's going to happen, because once you tell the coach that, then you just lost the credibility or belief in you from your team and your organization. Haliburton and any other player is not going to do that. Plus, if you look over the history of sports, the star, the injured star, the sick star, usually have their best games. So, again, why not Haliburton? Now, at that point, Haliburton was having a horrible game. He never got out of the horrible mode the whole game. So it was credible that you would want to put a guy like T.J. McConnell in longer because he was having a good game. Now, like I said, it hasn't been officially announced, but if he's got a calf strain, Haliburton is not playing. And that's from somebody who's had several calf strains. Once you get that, you might as well just sit on down somewhere, because you're not fixing to do no running. And you can take that to the bank. So if he's got something else besides that, maybe he can play. But a true calf strain, he's not going to play. So that means the hot hand McConnell is going to come in and start the game. There's a distinct difference between starting the game as opposed to coming in off the bench. Because now the Thunder is going to think, well, you know what? They won't come out and say it, but it's a possibility that Haliburton's not going to play. So we got to anticipate that this guy McConnell, who ripped us apart in the third quarter there, he's going to be starting. So now let's put a game plan together for him. And then McConnell's going to come out, and he's going to run out of gas, and he's not going to be able to make the same plays he's making. And next thing you know, the lead is going to grow. And then the same people who were saying put McConnell in are going to be saying, well, why is McConnell in the game? Well, he's not been playing as a starter because he's not to the level of a starter yet. And because of that, he's going to get exposed, and it's going to be a bad look for Indiana. So what Carlisle has to do, you want to try to go with McConnell. Maybe he comes out and have an heroic game. It's a small possibility that could happen. But he has to have somebody else who can handle the ball and try to make the offense go. Now, here's my criticism about the NBA. Everybody's saying that the Pacers don't have the ball handling beyond Haliburton to compete. Well, that makes me scratch my head because I'm thinking, well, isn't this a pro basketball team? Don't pro basketball teams pick the best players? Don't pro basketball teams know that they have to have more than one person that can handle the ball just in case the number one guy goes down? I mean, those are obvious questions, right? So how the hell can the Pacers get to the finals with nobody that can handle the ball? That doesn't make any sense. What you're really saying to me is that you have players that you don't trust. And when I start thinking of that, I'm thinking of two people, Nesmith and Nembhard. Again, I call Nembhard Nimrod. And I call him Nimrod because he does some bonehead things at times. The other night was a perfect example. He looked like he was afraid to take shots when he was wide open to take them. He didn't take them. Then he tries to penetrate and picks the ball up and throws a blind pass to whoever. And whoever turned out to be a Thunder player. He did that several times in the second half the other day. And I thought I was being cruel, but when I start to feel that way, they validate me by doing something silly. Same thing with Nesmith. The guy can't get out of foul trouble. He's not helping his team if he's going to stay in foul trouble. And to his defense, though, some of those fouls he should have got charges on. But the NBA is completely unreliable when it comes to making a call. You have excessive and rampant traveling that occurs all the time in the NBA. And the one or two times they may call traveling in the game is something that is very, very questionable. So you're going to tell me you're going to call traveling because he moves his pivot foot an inch, but you don't call traveling when the guy takes 4 or 5 steps right in front of the official. You call nothing. So I don't understand what determines when an official makes a call. Now, I don't want to get into that. I started to go down the rabbit hole a little bit with the what's that guy, Tim McDonald or McConnell, whatever his name was, the official who was fixing games. I wonder sometimes if there's more of that going on, but I don't want to get into that. All right, let me go ahead and say hello. Ferrari says the Thunder are going to take it to Oklahoma. I'm starting to think so. New York SC game, I think that's New York Stock Exchange games. Sports fan 83. He goes out on a limb and he says that the Pacers in 7. Well, the Pacers in 7 days will be on the couch like me waiting on football season, and he won't have any rings on their finger. So take that. Marie Ann says Indiana ain't losing 3 times in a row. I think Game 7 is a safe bet. Well, sometimes in life you might get lucky, but if you don't have a point guard and you're depending on your bench players to pull you through in a starting role, I don't think that's a good bet for you there, Marie Ann. Appreciate it there, Marie. This Donahue. He was honest about it, and I'm sure that he is not the only one. And it was obvious to me back then when I saw some of that stuff. NBA officials in the 90s would make a perfect game call all the way up to like 3 minutes left in the game. Then with about 3 minutes left, and they start making some bizarre calls. One thing that comes to mind, if you remember when Dan Marley was playing with the Heat, they won those tough series with the Knicks back in the day. Marley was facing up, I think it was Chris Childs. The man is a complete foot away from Childs. He takes a step to his right with his hands up. They call a foul. He ain't nowhere close to the man, but you call a foul. and all that football playing, the Heat and the Knicks were playing at that time, you're going to call something, man, not even in close proximity to the guy. You call a foul. You might be able to look that up on YouTube and find it, the phantom call on Dan Marley. When I seen stuff like that, I reach and I turn the TV off, and I don't mess with the NBA for about 7 months after that. I turn the TV on again. Maybe they learned a lesson. No, they're still doing the same stuff. I turn it off again. Now, I'm watching it now, but it's kind of hard to watch the NBA because you just don't know what the officials are going to call, man. And what's happening to you, he says money, control, and everything, and I completely agree with that. But getting back to the subject, I just think that Indiana, they got a big problem. I told you before they weren't ready to win the championship before the finals even started because they don't play consistent ball. You have a guy that's scoring 30, 35 tonight, and then next two games he might get 10 points combined. And Haliburton, he's not consistent. Like I said, he's a classic front runner. He's great, and he's a showman when he's doing well, but when he's not doing well, you don't know he's there. That's not consistent. You got to be more consistent than that. And even if you're playing bad, that's when you should be trying to play harder. And you don't see that from Haliburton. He's sitting around watching the game. Now, I have to say that his injury had to affect him some because that is the worst performance I ever seen from a point guard in the NBA Finals. I never seen something so bad. So maybe his injury was hurting him more than I gave him credit for. I still think if you can't get to the basket or score the ball, you can be more of a facilitator and set you guys up with trying to penetrate and get them open. There's some things that he could have done that helped his team, and I wonder sometimes. But having a calf strain before, I know how difficult that is to play on, and I actually can't run on it. And if that is what he has now, then he's done for the year. Even if they made it to game 13, he won't be able to play. He's going to be out for 3-4 weeks. If you think back to Kevin Garnett, he had gotten the calf strain, and he thought he was coming back the next game. We didn't see him for a couple of weeks. And every time I got a calf strain, I was done for 3 or 4 weeks. And if you think about Garnett, he had the treatment I didn't. He's got the multi-million-dollar health trainers there, and they still couldn't get him on the court after a couple of weeks. So only thing you can do is put some ice on it, rest it, and wait. But that's the only thing that's going to prepare that.